Hello and welcome to another camera review. Today I want to discuss an important point. Recently I made a video about prime lenses versus zoom lenses, and a lot of questions have been raised about whether primes are sharper than the zooms or that zooms have a particular advantage. Of course, a lot of people that use zooms swear by it. They think their images are excellent, and they even buy the widest range. For example, they buy 70 to 300 millimeter, or they buy 15 to 120 millimeter. And all those lenses that they buy are lenses that have very high f-stops. So they start at, for example, 4.5 going up to 6.3. But those images, even shot at apertures at like 5.6 or 6.3, even at f8, you're going to find that the images may be sharp, but there's a lot of sacrifice that are being made in the process. And that I want to mention because a lot of people think that sharpness is what it is all about. And sharpness is not. Actually, what you want to look for is the character that the photograph renders, that 3D pop. And that 3D pop is what defines a good lens. And for example, if you look at the prime lenses, a lot of people swear by the prime lenses because they know that it allows them to have better contrast, better saturation, better detail, and the fact that they can separate it from the background. For example, if you use a 24 to 70 millimeter zoom, you're gonna get probably f2.8. What you can do with a prime is go down to f1.4, for example, if you chose a 24 millimeter. And of course, what you're gonna have is a much better separation from the background. You're gonna be able to throw a lot of things out of focus and highlighting that important point that should be in focus. But what about if you are doing photography and you want to shoot at f5.6? At f5.6, is the 24 millimeter prime the same as a 24 to 70 millimeter zoom lens at 24 millimeter? They are not. There is a lot of difference, and a lot of people fail to notice this. First of all, sharpness, as we speak of, they are different because zoom lenses, because they have so many elements, that means they have so many corrective elements. That means you're going to get less chromatic aberration. You're going to get less, for example, situations where the vignetting might be an issue. See, when you remove those things and you compact that lens to a format where you are getting to use a 24, a 50, or a 70 millimeter within the same lens, you are actually improving the optics of correction. And when you have correction, that means the light has to travel through more elements. And oftentimes that results in a sharper image, but not a better image. When you look for that 3D pop, you will not get that 3D pop as well as on a prime, even if you shot it at f2.8 at the same aperture setting. What you will find that the details, the micro contrast has changed, and the micro contrast will not be there if you look at it carefully. If you look at the details in the color tonations, that is what you're looking for. You want to be able to separate a subject from the background or give that 3D pop to the subject so that it can have that beautiful look. And that is created by the tonalities that the lens is able to render. You see, the prime lenses, because they have less elements and they are designed to operate only in that focal range, they give you that advantage of being able to pull more contrast and better micro contrast out of that image, especially if you are looking for that 3D pop. So if people go ahead and say to you, well, zoom lenses are the same as the prime lenses if you shoot them at the same aperture, they are not. And you can put side-by-side photographs and you can see that they are distinctly different. Now, I will not go into too much detail and discuss side-by-side photographs because there are plenty that you can look on the internet. You can go to Flickr pages, compare the images, look at the details, and you will see that the tonations, the gradations of the prime lenses are much better. There is that more of that 3D pop, especially if you look at lenses with lesser elements. Right now in my hand, I'm holding a Soligar. This lens here is a 24mm f2.8, and it is an incredibly sharp lens. It's a beautiful lens that has a lot of character. It gives you beautiful images. Yet people think that if they have 15 elements, 12 elements, even 10 elements in it with 8 groupings or 7 groupings, that is going to produce a better image. It is not going to do that, because what you're doing is, as the light is passing, you are flattening the image, because each time the light goes through a lens element, it is getting processed. It's like putting a meat through a grinder. Well, the more you put it through different grinders, the more you're going to get a pulp or a slime. And that is the same way if you look at the light traveling. Of course, the sharper the image to some, that is better for them. That's what they think. But what is important is you are doing a 2D rendition of a 3D perspective. What that means is you're looking at 3D, you're seeing 3D, and you want to transpose that image of what you see onto a two-dimensional plane. So in order to achieve that, you need to be able to take that image and have that separation between the foreground, the subject, and the background. And if you look at those zoom lenses, you're going to see that they're all compacted. And that's something that you really don't want to have. What you want to have is that beautiful separation, that 3D pop. That is why the older lenses, the Zeiss lenses, the Leica lenses, they've been around for a long time. And look at what they can achieve simply by the fact that these lenses have lesser elements. Of course, they can correct for the apochromatic aberration. It is wonderful if you have a 75 of a 90mm from Leica, it corrects it. And that is the reason why you want to have those lenses, yet they also provide beautiful contrast, beautiful separation. It is that reason that I'll always go opt for the prime lenses rather than using lenses that are zoom lenses. Now, some people also make the mistake of believing that if they purchased a focal length, for example, between 70 to 300, that it functions in the same way if you got it at 70 to 200. It doesn't. What has happened is that while the companies try to push a lens that offers more focal range, the quality, distortion is far more on the lower and the upper end of the focal range. So if you are looking for a 24mm at the bottom of the range, it is not as sharp as in the middle, which is 50. And if you're going all the way to 300, you're looking at a lens element, and the lens elements, they don't work as well at the top of the range. So what you are looking for is the middle range. And middle range provides that beautiful element where it is functioning at its best. Yet again, if you take that 50mm or 100mm point where it is the sharpest and you apply it and compare it to a prime lens, you're going to find that the lens performs better on a prime because it has that element. A lot of people again make the mistake that thinking that sharpness is all there is. You will find the zoom lenses often perform as sharp as the primes or even supersede it, but that does not bring that 3D element. It does not bring that micro contrast. And that's what we want to do. That's what we want to achieve when we're doing photography, even filming. Now, a lot of people also make the mistake of thinking that it is the sensor that makes the difference. Well, the sensor is just a receiving element that the light passes through. If your optics are not there, whether you have a full frame or an APS-C or a micro four thirds, you're going to suffer in quality. What you want to have is a resolving power. And that is why lenses like the Zeiss Altus have very strong resolving power. And that means they can resolve for 50 megapixels or even higher. What is important though is not just the resolving power, it is the ability to render a character, a look that is unique. And that is what you should be aiming for. And I hope this has clarified some of the questions that I keep getting asked about versus primes versus zoom lenses. And I hope that if you have learned something from this, it will be something that will help your photography. If you have any questions, drop it on the description section below, comment section below, and I will try to answer them. And if you did like the video, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. And I'll see you in our next review. Thank you for watching.